This is the Ohio AgNet from the Voice You Know with the News You Trust studio, sponsored by BASF. Visit with your local ag retailer about 0% financing on all BASF crop protection, seed treatment, and Zetavo brand soybeans now through March 15th. I'm Ty Higgins. New and now at ohioagnet.com. Find out about funding opportunities for your farm, and Ohio's 2026 muzzleloader deer hunting season results are in. You can find them online at ohioagnet.com. Let's check in with our weekly update from the Ohio Soybean Council and your checkoff dollars at work. Here's Dusty Sonnenberg.
Joining me on this week's update from the Ohio Soybean Council is Taylor Dill, Director of Research with the Ohio Soybean Council, looking at a unique project led by Dr. Scott Shear at Ohio State.
Scott Shear does an amazing job, and I actually got to talk to him recently with his research projects. He's really focusing on AI and using data sets that he can use in AI to identify soybean crop stressors and look at cost-effective mitigation of that stress. And so he uses compilations of data to be able to do that. I think it's really encouraging that they're building data sets that are actually applicable to us and that are useful to us, and we don't necessarily have to be scared of AI, which I think often you can be, the world is ending. But and to really bring power back to us with our data and to be able to make better decisions with a very helpful tool. So that one's a really exciting one.
Again, my guest today is Taylor Dill, Director of Research with the Ohio Soybean Council, just highlighting one of the many checkoff-funded research projects. And today's update brought to you by the Ohio Soybean Council and your soybean checkoff.
Thank you, Dusty. Optimize your planter for every pass this season. Join Precision Agri-Services for their planter clinic on Thursday, February 5th in Minster. To learn more and RSVP, call 419-628-4167 or go to precisionagriservices.com. Let's check the forecast now, brought to you by Seed Consultants. Simply better performance, online at seedconsultants.com. Here's Ryan Martin.
Strong winds subsiding a little bit. We're still seeing some lake effect come across Michigan, and I won't rule out some of those clouds making it into northwest Ohio. Also seeing a little bit of lake effect cloud cover and some flurry action popping up in northeast Ohio. But by and large, the main part of the state today just sees sunshine and cold temperatures. Same story for tomorrow into and through the weekend. The difference is tomorrow night through Saturday and early Sunday, winds come straight north around these Arctic highs, and that should increase a little bit of chance of lake effect cloud cover. Precipitation, I don't see good precipitation potential for the entire state until we get into a clipper passage on Monday. Then we take a break and see another weather system coming through Wednesday night through Thursday of next week. And we follow that up with a slight warming surge before more moisture to finish next weekend. I'm meteorologist Ryan Martin.
Earlier this month, President Trump described the USMCA trade agreement as irrelevant to the country's economy. During his speech to automakers in Detroit, the president claimed the U.S. does not need either Mexico or Canada for trade and industry. These comments come as a reevaluation of the USMCA is slated for later this year, and Luke Crumley, Director of Public Policy and Sustainability at Ohio Corn and Wheat, says the importance of the trade agreement to agriculture cannot be overstated.
The agreement was up for reevaluation this year anyway. So this is the normal course of negotiations for a complex agreement. When you talk about a trilateral trade agreement with an emerging economy and two well-established economies, I mean, it is too complex for us to cover in a 5-minute segment. But we're hopeful that President Trump leans into the success he found in USMCA 1.0. That deal was so good that we had Democrats voting in support. This is an area where the second Trump administration, I hope, learns the lesson from the first Trump administration that this kind of deal means the world to Ohio's agricultural producers. And we're going to work with anyone to get that message across. We should recognize that the entire Trump administration, this time around especially, has been focused on how do we promote American agriculture. Every one of these deals that's being negotiated outside of a trade agreement, which is a very formal structure, all of these informal deals have prioritized agriculture. I expect nothing less from this administration when it comes to renegotiating USMCA, but we want to see USMCA preserved, and we want to see it extended for the full length of term that it can be, because it's provided important protections.
You can read more about how the Ag Group is reiterating trade importance as Trump downplays the USMCA. Online now at ohioagnet.com. Farm life moves fast, and so does the news that matters to you. Stay ahead with the Digital Daily from Ohio AgNet and Ohio's Country Journal. Every morning, right at 6 a.m., get the top ag headlines, market trends, weather updates, and the stories shaping Ohio agriculture delivered right to your inbox. It's free, it's easy, and it keeps you informed before the day gets going. Sign up now at ohioagnet.com for the Digital Daily. You may be leaving some money on the table for your bottom line if you don't know about some of these incentives that Allison Kinney shares with us.
Are you aware that your local USDA National Resource Conservation Service NRCS office has funding available to support your farming and conservation practices through the Environmental Quality Incentives Program, or EQIPT? There are around 80 EQIPT practices that you could be qualified for to receive funding. For example, you could receive anywhere from $30 to $138 per acre to implement various EQIPT practices such as grid soil sampling, manure injection nutrient management practices, and pest management conservation systems. There are also many more farming and conservation practices that NRCS can assist producers in their operations. If you need to make facility improvements, EQIPT is here to assist with structural improvements for your farm, like various manure storage systems and water control systems, just to name a few. To find more information, the entire article can be found at ohioagnet.com. For the Ohio AgNet, I'm Allison Kinney reporting.
Thanks, Allison. The Ohio AgNet continues next.
It's time for the Morton Buildings Building Value Days sales event running now through the end of February. Morton buildings are built stronger, last longer, and look better. So if you're planning for a garage, farm shop, stall barn, a storage building for your RV, boat, or collectibles, or anything in between, act now. Our buildings are built to last, but these savings won't. Visit mortonbuildings.com or contact your local Morton office to take advantage of current savings on new buildings. Certain restrictions may apply. Offer valid only on select new building orders placed between January 5th and February 28th, 2026.
Get ready to bid on the heavy equipment and vehicles you need in a Ritchie Brothers Midwest Regional event happening February 10th through 12th. Inventory is at Ritchie Brothers locations in Columbus, Chicago, Detroit, Minneapolis, Kansas City, and Lincoln, with in-person inspections available. Bid on a wide selection of excavators, loaders, dump trucks, and truck tractors. Don't miss this great opportunity. Visit rbauction.com/Columbus to sign up. rbauction.com/Columbus.
Welcome back to the Ohio AgNet. I'm Ty Higgins. A corn yield robber is making its way across Ohio more and more with every summer, but there's research to mitigate it. Joe Everett has the story in today's featured audio.
Farmers have been dealing with tar spot here in the Buckeye State since 2018. We've seen the damage it can cause to plant health and the yield loss that comes with it. And as we continue to see it more around the state, it's our job as farmers to continue to learn more ways and better manage it. Elizabeth Hawkins with OSU Extension says farmers should always keep it on the forefront.
Is it ever too early to talk about tar spot?
It is never too early. And I think this is the perfect time because right now a lot of decisions are happening getting ready for the cropping season 2026.
Earlier, you mentioned about all the different things that Ohio State's doing and really just getting started. Can you elaborate on that?
Yeah, last year we kicked off through the eFields program a statewide survey looking at fields to understand when tar spot's coming in, how severe the infection is getting, and how that's impacting yields. And then collecting additional management data so that we can begin to understand and build recommendations around how do you deal with tar spot, what situations are causing it to increase or to impact your yields more severely, and how can we combat that?
When it comes to tar spot, fungicide applications can make a huge difference when it comes to plant health and overall yield. OSU's doing some of their own testing, and they're finding real results.
And you guys also had some information. You did see some increase with some fungicide applications. What did you find from that?
Yeah, very generally, we surveyed 22 fields this year across 7 counties, and we saw some interesting trends emerging. The first being that the earlier that an infection comes into your field, the more severe your yield impacts are going to be. And we did see that when tar spot was present, there was a yield benefit to applying fungicide in 2025. So we're really excited to continue that research in 2026 to see if we can see that trend become something we're even more confident in.
For OSU to get these results, it takes participants to make it happen.
And you're looking to get more people involved. Where can farmers find that?
Yeah, so we're definitely going to do the survey again in 2026. You should, if you want to learn about last year's, read about it in the eFields report. And if you want to get involved, reach out to your county extension educator or myself, and we'll get you linked up and set up for scouting and data collection in 2026.
Again, that was Elizabeth Hawkins with OSU Extension. To learn more about last year's results, you can find those at ohioagnet.com. Search 2025 eFields Tar Spot Survey. For the Ohio AgNet, I'm Joe Everett reporting.
Thank you, Joe. Ohio hunters reported strong participation this winter with 13,055 white-tailed deer taken during the 4-day 2026 muzzleloader deer hunting season, which wrapped up on January 6th, according to the Ohio Department of Natural Resources. That total includes all deer checked with a muzzleloader or archery gear during the period and sits just below recent averages, as hunters checked about 13,495 deer last year. Of the deer tagged this season, roughly 27% were antlered deer, 73% were antlerless, offering continued opportunities to manage Ohio's deer population. The season's top counties for harvest included Coshocton, Tuscarawas, Carroll, Muskingum, and Knox, among others. So far this hunting season, Ohio hunters have checked more than 222,000 deer, keeping harvest totals above 200,000 for the fourth straight season. For more details on the muzzleloader season results, county breakdowns, and how hunters are helping support local food pantries, read the full article now at ohioagnet.com. We'll get a check of the markets coming up after this with some analysis as well as the Ohio AgNet continues.
Attention construction pros. Purple Wave Auction brings quality equipment to your fingertips. Join our bi-weekly online auctions featuring dozers, excavators, loaders, and more. We provide detailed listings, photos, and seller contact info. Inspect online or in person. With our no reserve policy, every item sells to the highest bidder. Visit purplewave.com today and see why informed builders choose Purple Wave. Transparent processes, real deals. Your next great purchase awaits. purplewave.com.
They didn't have skim milk for your coffee, so I just got formaldehyde.
Oh, isn't that stuff in floor cleaner? Pizza's here. Would you like cheese on that? Or how about a Crowley?
Oh, no, that's in bug spray.
Hi there. Would you like to sample our new scent, diethylene glycol?
Isn't that the stuff in antifreeze?
You wouldn't want to eat it, drink it, or even smell it, but that's exactly what's in your vapes. If you vape, quit. If you don't vape, don't start. For help, go to odh.ohio.gov/no vapes. A message from the Ohio Department of Health.
Welcome back to the Ohio AgNet. This morning's market analysis is brought to you by the Louis Dreyfus Company. Excited to be building the newest state-of-the-art soybean crush facility in Upper Sandusky. Call 574-566-2113 for information on soybean marketing to LDC. Here's Ryan Martin.
Grain markets finished sharply higher on Wednesday. As we take a look at the market action, we were off of the highs in corn and beans, also off the highs in wheat, but not nearly as much. So it's going to be an interesting start to the Thursday time frame as we have weekly export sales that should come out. There were no new daily flash sales yesterday. Very sharp discounts on South American corn, soybeans, and even wheat are slowing U.S. export sales seasonally. However, a large part of the bump in the markets yesterday, I feel, came from President Trump's stump speech in Iowa on Tuesday afternoon and evening, where he basically said he's perfectly fine with the dollar reaching its lowest point in the past 4 years. And the dollar weakness is great for commodities and exports. And I think the market took a little bit of a cue from that. Now, can we hand this long term the same way? Probably not. The Fed didn't cut rates yesterday. I'm Ryan Martin.
This rundown of overnight markets on the Ohio AgNet brought to you by Seed Consultants. Simply better performance. Online at seedconsultants.com. Corn for March, a half penny to the plus side overnight at 4.30 and a half. May, 4.38 and a quarter penny higher. No change for July corn at 4.44 a bushel. Soybeans for March, 2 cents to the plus side at 10.77. May, 10.89 and 3/4, also 2 cents higher overnight. And soybeans for July up 2 1/4 at 11.03 and 1/4. Wheat for July, 5.55 and a half. That's a half penny to the plus side. September, 5.69 a bushel, up by a half cent. And December wheat up a quarter at 5.87 and a half. Live cattle for February closing out Wednesday $1.22 higher to $236.82. April 238.72 up by $1.32, and June live cattle up $1.20 at 234.45. Feeder cattle for March 385 higher at 365.85 after yesterday's trade. April feeders 364.30 up by 365. February lean hogs down $1.10 at 87.95, and April closing at 95.15 yesterday, down $1.67. This is the Ohio AgNet.